Though ordinarily silent and sullen enough, yet, when he doth talk, it is not like one of the hinds with whom he consorts, but in a good set phrase, and his bearing is as bold as that of one who hath seen service in the field." "My curiosity is aroused," said the abbot. "I must see him." "No sooner said than done," cried Ashbead; "for, by the Lord Harry, ey see him stonding by yon moss poo' o' top o' the hill, though how he getten them there, the devil only knows." And he pointed out a tall dark figure, standing near a little pool on the summit of the mountain, about 100 yards from them. "Talk of ill, and ill cometh," observed Father Haydocke. "And see, the wizard hath a black hound with him. It may be his wife in that likeness." "No, ey knoas t' hound reet weel, Feyther Haydocke," replied the forester. "It's a St. Hubert, an a rare un for fox or badgert. Odd's life, feyther, where that black bandy who ey wur speaking on?" "I like not the appearance of the knave at this juncture," said the abbot; "yet I wish to confront him, and charge him with his misdemeanours." "Hark! he sings," cried Father Haydocke; and, as he spoke, a voice was heard chanting:
"One shall sit at a solemn feast, half warrior, half priest. The greatest there shall be the least."
"The very ditty I heard," cried Father Eastgate; "but list, he has more of it." And the voice resumed:
"He shall be rich, yet poor as me, abbot and earl of poverty, monk and soldier, rich and poor. He shall be hanged at his own door."
Loud derisive laughter followed the song. "By our Lady of Whalley, the knave is mocking us," cried the abbot. "Send a bolt to silence him, Cuthbert." The forester instantly bent his bow, and a quarrel whistled off in the direction of the singer; but whether his aim were not truly taken, or he meant not to hit the mark, it is certain that Demdike remained untouched. The reputed wizard laughed aloud, took off his felt cap in acknowledgment, and marched deliberately down the side of the hill. "Thou art not wont to miss thine aim, Cuthbert," cried the abbot, with a look of displeasure. "Take good heed thou producest this scurril knave before me, when these troublous times are over. But what's this? He stops. Ha! He is practising his devilries on the mountain side." It would seem that the abbot had good warrant for what he said, as Demdike, having paused at a broad green patch on the hill side, was now busied in tracing a circle round it with his staff. He then spoke aloud some words, which the superstitious beholders construed into an incantation, and, after tracing the circle once again, and casting some tufts of dry heather, which he plucked from an adjoining hillock, on 3 particular spots, he ran quickly downwards, followed by his hound, and, leaping a stone wall surrounding a little orchard at the foot of the hill, disappeared from view. "Go and see what he hath done," cried the abbot to the forester, "for I like it not." Ashbead instantly obeyed, and, on reaching the green spot in question, shouted out that he could discern nothing, but presently added, as he moved about, that the turf heaved like a sway bed beneath his feet, and he thought, to use his own phraseology, would "brast." The abbot then commanded him to go down to the orchard below, and, if he could find Demdike, to bring him to him instantly. The forester did as he was bidden, ran down the hill, and, leaping the orchard wall as the other had done, was lost to sight. Ere long it became quite dark, and, as Ashbead did not reappear, the abbot gave vent to his impatience and uneasiness, and was proposing to send one of the herdsmen in search of him, when his attention was suddenly diverted by a loud shout from one of the sentinels, and a fire was seen on a distant hill on the right. "The signal! the signal!" cried Paslew, joyfully. "Kindle a torch quick! quick!" And, as he spoke, he seized a brand, and plunged it into a peat fire, while his example was followed by the 2 monks. "It is the beacon on Blackstone Edge," cried the abbot. "And look, a second blazes over the Grange of Cliviger, another on Ighton Hill, another on Boulsworth Hill, and the last on the neighbouring heights of Padiham. Our own comes next. May it light the enemies of our holy church to perdition." With this he applied the burning brand to the combustible matter of the beacon, The monks did the same, and in an instant a tall pointed flame rose up from a thick cloud of smoke. Ere another minute had elapsed, similar fires shot up to the right and the left, from the high lands of Trawden Forest, on the jagged points of Foulridge, on the summit of Cowling Hill, and so on to Skipton. Other fires again blazed on the towers of Clithero, on Longridge and Ribchester, on the woody eminences of Bowland, on Wolf Crag, and on fell and scar all the way to Lancaster. It seemed the work of enchantment, so suddenly and so strangely did the fires shoot forth. As the beacon flame increased, it lighted up the whole of the extensive table land on the summit of Pendle Hill, and a long lurid streak fell on the darkling moss pool near which the wizard had stood. But when it attained its utmost height, it revealed the depths of the forest below, and a red reflection here and there marked the course of Pendle water. The excitement of the abbot and his companions momentarily increased, and the sentinels shouted as each new beacon was lighted. At last almost every hill had its watchfire, and so extraordinary was the spectacle that it seemed as if weird beings were abroad and holding their revels on the heights. Then it was that the abbot, mounting his steed, called out to the monks, "Holy fathers, you will follow to the abbey as you may. I shall ride fleetly on, and despatch 200 archers to Huddersfield and Wakefield. The abbots of Salley and Jervaux, with the prior of Burlington, will be with me at midnight, and at daybreak we shall march our forces to join the main army. Heaven be with you."
"Stay!" cried a harsh, imperious voice. "Stay!" And, to his surprise, the abbot beheld Nicholas Demdike standing before him. The aspect of the wizard was dark and forbidding, and seen by the beacon light, his savage features, blazing eyes, tall gaunt frame, and fantastic garb, made him look like something unearthly. Flinging his staff over his shoulder, he slowly approached, with his black hound following close by at his heels. "I have a caution to give you, lord abbot," he said. "Hear me speak before you set out for the abbey, or ill will befall you."
"Ill will befall me, if I listen to thee, thou wicked churl," cried the abbot. "What hast thou done with Cuthbert Ashbead?"
"I have seen nothing of him since he sent a bolt after me, at your bidding, lord abbot,"
replied Demdike. "Beware lest any harm come to him, or thou wilt rue it," cried Paslew. "But I have no time to waste on thee. Farewell, fathers. High mass will be said in the convent church before we set out on the expedition to morrow morning. You will both attend it."
"You will never set out upon the expedition, lord abbot,"
cried Demdike, planting his staff so suddenly into the ground before the horse's head, that the animal reared, and nearly threw his rider.
"How now, fellow? What mean you?" cried the abbot, furiously.
"To warn you,"
replied Demdike.
"Stand aside," cried the abbot, spurring his steed, "or I will trample you beneath my horse's feet."
"I might let you ride to your own doom,"
rejoined Demdike, with a scornful laugh, as he seized the abbot's bridle.
"but you shall hear me. I tell you will never go forth on this expedition. I tell you that ere to morrow Whalley Abbey will have passed for ever from your possession, and that if you go thither again, your life will be forfeited. Now, will you listen to me?"
"I am wrong in doing so,"
cried the abbot, who could not, however, repress some feelings of misgiving at this alarming address. "Speak. What would you say?"
"Come out of earshot of the others, and I will tell you." And he led the abbot's horse to some distance further on the hill. "Your cause will fail, lord abbot," he then said. "Nay, it is lost already."
"Lost!" cried the abbot, out of all patience. "Lost! Look around. 20 fires are in sight ay, 30, and every fire thou seest will summon 100 men, at the least, to arms. Before an hour 500 men will be gathered before the gates of Whalley Abbey."
"True," replied Demdike, "but they will not own the Earl of Poverty for their leader."
"What leader will they own, then?" demanded the abbot, scornfully.
"The Earl of Derby,"
replied Demdike.
"he is on his way thither, with Lord Mounteagle from Preston.